Are you good?
Shut up.
Why?
You don't know anything.
Okay.
So you say you don't like Sgt. Pepper's, huh?
That's right, I don't.
Well, why don't you like it?
I don't like most of the songs on the album, and I feel it as a whole is overrated.
But it changed the face of music. It became so popular that it's been re-released and is now available.
Yes, I know it's been re-released, and it's available now.
I just don't understand why you dislike it so much. Everyone loves it.
Have you ever heard of Opinions?
Yeah, but you're at no level to offer your opinion or advice.
What do you mean?
You listen to it on a Crosley Cruiser. You should listen to it on good equipment.
I did.
Sorry, what?
I listened to it on a new turntable, and I still dislike it.
Did you even listen to it?
The whole thing.
But, how is your opinion the same?
Alright, that's enough of this. I get it. A lot of people can have a bunch of different opinions, and you guys understand this now. That a lot of people can have a bunch of different opinions. The majority of opinions on planet Earth agrees that Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band is the greatest album of all time. I've disagreed twice, I've read the responses twice, and everyone can agree. My opinion is somehow wrong. Yet, I've come to terms with something, and I've kind of figured out why a lot of people think that Sgt. Pepper's is the greatest album of all time. It also has to do with the context of the Beatles albums, not just music as a whole, but let's just start with the whole idea with the Beatles. They were the biggest band in the entire world in the 1960s, and with their first 5 albums, it was mostly rock and roll, a bunch of singles pressed on 2 sides of a vinyl record. Now, whenever Rubber Soul came along, they decided to come up with the idea that, especially with the folk scene, that they should have a mostly folk album. And it sort of introduced the idea that an album can just not exactly be a bunch of singles, but it can be one entire work as a whole. And then when Revolver came around, they didn't necessarily stick with this idea. Instead, they decided to just experiment, especially with the whole them not touring anymore. So then when Sgt. Pepper's came around, I feel that they sort of combined the concepts of both Rubber Soul and Revolver together. It's an entire piece as a whole with a bunch of experimentation. And in a way, I feel like that's why a lot of people think that Sgt. Pepper's is the greatest album of all time. Because people were able to warm up to their ideas, were able to stick with their ideas, with the whole giant concept, the whole idea that Rubber Soul made when an album can be a whole piece of work and not just a bunch of singles. People warmed up to that idea. Then Revolver came along, and even though people disagreed with the idea that they were going to stop touring, they decided to handle Revolver, and that also has been considered one of the greatest albums of all time as well. So with critics and audiences alike agreeing that Revolver and Rubber Soul were both very good albums, Sgt. Pepper's is released, an album that combines both of the ideas in those albums. Not necessarily the same ideas within the songs, but the whole ideas in general, that it's an entire piece with experimentation in between. And I feel that that's why a lot of people call it the greatest album of all time, is because it was able to combine everything that everyone loved into one piece. But that's just with the Beatles. In terms of music in general, I still kind of don't understand. I'm guessing that with its style of Baroque pop and strings and horns and such, it was able to not only keep young audiences, but also bring in older audiences to make sure that everyone is equal in this whole idea of music. And so because of that, and the whole context behind the whole rock and roll scene, and sort of reviving the whole symphony idea, reviving the whole, the piece of music is whole, and the movements are part of one whole piece. And that is, in my opinion, why I believe that the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band is the greatest album of all time. I've killed 2 tacos with that. You finally see it. Yeah, that my tree is gone. You're paying for that. No. That Sgt. Pepper is the greatest album of all time. Yeah, of course it's the greatest. It was able to combine 2 critically acclaimed albums, a band that was known throughout the world, enjoyed by everyone. Of course everyone likes it. Of course everyone thinks it's the greatest. It combined everything that made them successful and more. So, do you admit that you like it too? Hell no. Wait, why? Look, everyone has their own opinions on the album. I have mine, you have yours. Some people respect those opinions, and some people just think that the opinions are wrong and everyone needs to like the same thing. But not everyone likes the same thing. And you can't make someone like something. You can't fix stupid. The only thing you can do is just sit back and respect their opinions. Have you considered using a better needle? Oh my god. Or maybe better headphones? Ooh, or maybe the remastered version that's been re-released and is now available